The easiest way to understand core strength is to think about a wheel on a car. Envision a perfect wheel, one that is very strong and made out of beautiful polished steel. Everything about the wheel is perfect, except for the center hub, which is made out of old, rotten wood. What's going to happen to this wheel when we put it on a car and start to drive? Chances are, as the car goes faster, the wooden hub is going to break, this beautiful wheel is going to come flying off, and the car is going to crash. An athlete's body is like a wheel because everything rotates around the core muscles in the stomach and lower back. Regardless of how strong the arms, chest, shoulders, and legs look and feel, if the core is weak, then the athlete as a whole won't be able to properly function. During explosive motions like jumping and sprinting, the upper and lower body must move in concert in order to generate maximum force. Because it is the core muscles that serve to coordinate and tie the upper and lower body together, an athlete that possesses a strong core will be able to better manage their body's motions as they learn to perform at higher speeds. Here Daphne is performing an exercise called windmills. She is holding a 3-pound weighted ball in her hands and is moving it in large circles from above her head to all the way down to her toes. You will notice that she is keeping her arms and legs in a locked position and is only moving at her waist. This motion perfectly isolates many of the muscles in Daphne's lower back and stomach. Although this exercise can be used at any time, we like to place it at the beginning of a workout and use it as a warm-up. We can further warm and strengthen Daphne's core muscles by having her perform Russian twist. Here she holds the same ball with both hands, places it under her chin, and rotates from side to side. Again, the muscles in her lower back and stomach are used to both start and stop the rotation. The previous exercise is made a little more difficult by having Daphne extend her arms directly in front of her body. Extending the ball away from her body causes her to be stretched a little further back when she rotates. This positioning also requires Daphne to use more core strength to stop the ball when it is snapped back to the front. We can further progress by having Daphne use only one hand to hold the ball. As you can see, she is now stretching her lower back and stomach to the maximum limit. By developing more strength and flexibility in her core, Daphne will become more explosive in her softball games when she goes through motions like batting and throwing. Here Daphne is partnered up with Troy to perform the more explosive motions of water bucket throws. In this exercise, Daphne holds a 3-pound ball with both hands, swings it back to one side, and then quickly accelerates it forward and throws it to Troy. This drill again incorporates rotational flexibility, but now also requires an explosive motion to follow. We look to make sure that our athlete is able to smoothly rotate, step directly towards their target, and then throw the ball in a straight and powerful path. A basic exercise we use with our athletes to strengthen their abdominal muscles is the dead horse crunch. We call it this because it involves having the athlete lay on their back and then sticking all of their arms and legs straight up in the air, just like a dead horse. Here Mallory keeps her feet together and her knees locked. She then extends her arms and reaches up until she touches her toes. Holding this position is difficult by itself, but as the athlete reaches upward, the movement becomes more difficult because their abdominal muscles are forced to contract and their lower back muscles are forced to stabilize their entire body. This drill puts a new twist on an old exercise. Like a regular sit-up, Cody begins by laying on his back with his knees bent. He will then use his abdominal muscles to pull himself to an upright position. Unlike regular sit-ups, Cody is holding a 6-pound weighted ball that he must touch to the instructor's hands at the top of each sit-up. The instructor constantly moves his hands so that Cody's target is never in the same place. By changing the target's location, Cody is forced to reach and extend to a variety of angles, which ensures that he works all of the muscles in his midsection. Here Taboris is working with Ruffin on an exercise called a catapult sit-up. Ruffin begins by laying on his back, his feet locked between Taboris' feet, and a 6-pound ball held behind his head. From this position, Ruffin performs an explosive sit-up and throws the ball towards Taboris' head. Taboris immediately catches the ball and tosses it back to a position just over Ruffin's head. You will notice that Ruffin always keeps the ball above his head and never brings it into his chest, which is a common mistake among young athletes. This is a pretty difficult exercise, but one that builds tremendous strength and power in an athlete's midsection. Another great abdominal exercise is leg throws. In this exercise, Taboris is again working with Ruffin. As Ruffin lies on the ground, he braces himself by holding on to Taboris' ankles, keeps his legs straight, and raises them up to Taboris' chest. Taboris then throws Ruffin's legs at the ground. Ruffin's job is to use the strength in his stomach and lower back to stop his legs before they hit the ground. You will notice that Taboris is randomly throwing Ruffin's legs to the right, left, and straight out in front. These motions ensure that Ruffin works the full range of his core muscles. Wood choppers are simple to perform and tremendous for teaching an athlete that explosive motions start in the midsection. Adam demonstrates wood choppers by holding a 3-pound ball above his head. He has been instructed to simply throw the ball at the ground, about 12 inches from his toes, as quickly and as powerfully as possible. We often invite our athletes to try to make the ball explode as they throw it at the ground. From the side, you will notice that this movement looks much like a standing sit-up. As Adam throws the ball, he uses his core muscles to yank his upper body towards the ground and to generate the speed needed to throw the ball. He then catches the ball off the bounce and repeats. In order to train a slightly different area of an athlete's core muscles, we have them perform a lateral wood chopper motion. This is performed exactly the same as the last, except that during the throw, the athlete pivots their feet, rotates their hips and shoulders, and aims their throw just past their outside foot. We instruct our athletes to pause for just a split second in between throws to ensure that they are using their core muscles to power each throw rather than just using momentum from the last throw. While wood choppers work primarily the front muscles in an athlete's core, seal catches focus entirely on the muscles in the back. In this exercise, Adam lies on his stomach and extends his arms in front of his head. Our instructor Troy holds a 3-pound ball and kneels in front of Adam. Troy initiates the drill by tossing the ball just above Adam's head. When the ball is in the air, Adam uses the muscles in his lower back to raise his upper body to a position where he can catch the ball. Adam then quickly throws the ball back to Troy, and the process is repeated. Seal throws are a slightly more difficult and much more explosive lower back exercise. Here Adam lies on his stomach, extends his arms above his head, and holds a 2-pound weighted ball. Troy has instructed Adam to throw the ball as high and as far behind his head as possible. As Adam throws the ball, the muscles in his lower back contract and his chest and feet come off the ground. This is a very explosive exercise and one that needs to be done only after the athlete is sufficiently warmed up. This is also an exercise that should be conducted with a very light ball, like a tennis ball, until the athlete develops a little more strength. One of the absolute best tools for training core strength is a balance ball. These are those big, colorful balls that typically sit in the corner of your health club that no one knows how to use. Actually, they're quite easy to use and can also be a lot of fun. Here, Troy has placed Bethany in a position where the top of her shoulders and back are resting on the balance ball. She is rigidly straight down the full length of her body, and her heels are the only thing touching the ground. This is a very unstable position and requires Bethany to concentrate on staying balanced so she doesn't fall off the ball. The reason this is such a great exercise for an athlete's core is because the constant fight to stay balanced involves the use of dozens of muscles in the stomach and lower back. After an athlete has been placed in a position where they are lying on their back, lying on their stomach, or seated on the ball, they can then play a simple game of Simon Says with the instructor. Here Troy talks Bethany through basic movements like crossing her legs, lifting a foot off the ground, and changing the positioning of her arms. All of these movements throw Bethany's balance off just a little and force her to keep fighting in order to stay on the ball. While this looks easy, the soreness Bethany will likely feel in her stomach and lower back tomorrow will prove this exercise is actually hard work. To make the balance ball more challenging and fun, you can begin having your athletes perform different tasks while they are on the ball. Our favorite variation is to throw tennis balls at our athletes. Now the athlete must not only concentrate on staying balanced, but they must also do it while catching and throwing the balls. Even a skilled young athlete like Jake must summon all of his focus and concentration to be successful at this drill. As soon as his concentration begins to crack, disaster is usually right around the corner. This final exercise could have been placed in the acceleration or jumping categories, but we have instead decided to place it in core strength. The heave and retrieve exercise demonstrates how the upper and lower body must work together in order to execute an explosive movement, and how the athlete's core is what ties the two together. In this demonstration, Rusty has given Sean and Jake each a weighted ball. He has instructed them to begin in a crouched position with the ball held directly under their chin. They must then explode out of their crouched position, throw the ball as far as possible, and then sprint past the ball as quickly as possible. This is a wonderful exercise because it incorporates the explosive movements of jumping, throwing, and sprinting. As mentioned before, explosive motions such as these require the upper and lower body to move in concert with one another. Since it is the core muscles that allow this coordination to take place, an athlete that possesses a strong core will be able to better perform the heave and retrieve exercise as well as every other explosive movement they encounter in their athletic career.